Today, Mr. Fay and I are going to talk to you about a different set of skills. These are basic life and career skills. As time goes on, you're going to be asked to process a lot of content knowledge, to be able to have a lot of different skills in order to be successful in whatever career that you have. In order to be successful in life. So these skills are grouped together under life and career skills. All right, and this is what we're going to be focusing on as we go throughout the year. These are our expectations. They're up on our posters here amongst our behavior expectations. They'll be in all of our classrooms. So there'll be a constant reminder of what am I supposed to be doing. And they're all centered on you being successful in life, number one, but also when you get to your career. Okay? So how are we going to do that? Today, Mr. Fay and I are going to talk to you about a different set of skills. These are basic life and career skills. As time goes on, you're going to be asked to process a lot of content knowledge, to be able to have a lot of different skills in order to be successful in whatever career that you have. In order to be successful in life. So these skills are grouped together under life and career skills. All right, and this is what we're going to be focusing on as we go throughout the year. These are our expectations. They're up on our posters here amongst our behavior expectations. They'll be in all of our classrooms. So there'll be a constant reminder of what am I supposed to be doing. And they're all centered on you being successful in life, number one, but also when you get to your career. Okay? So how are we going to do that, Mr. Fay?
Well, we're actually going to grade this, so we're going to grade it as a team. And this is something that's different than what you're probably used to. Some of you have probably seen a clipboard in a class maybe where you've had something assessed. Well, this clipboard is going to be in each one of the classrooms that you have. We refer to it as the motivator. Now, what's kind of interesting about the motivator is not a negative thing all the time. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you pick up a mark on the motivator for distributing or showing some sort of negative behavior. But we're also using it to look for positive behaviors. For example, when Mr. Michaud asked his first question, 4 people had their hands in the air. Those are the people that are going to get high grades on the motivator. When he asked his second, we had 14 people with their hands in the air. So what we need is we're going to need each of you realizing that we're not just looking for you to be good. We're looking for you to be engaged. And that is a difficult concept sometimes for younger kids. Simply sitting there and being quiet is great. Thank you. You're wonderful at it. But that's how maybe 6th graders are good or 7th graders are good. The way that we're good here is by being fully engaged all the time. When I make eye contact with you, you're making eye contact with me, that shows me engagement. Okay? So we're going to not only be looking, again, for some negative skills, but we're also going to be looking for positive skills. And to talk to you really specifically about the types of skills we're looking for, we'll bring that back to Mr. Michaud.
All right, one of the first... Okay, we want you to be able to say that. So what are you doing? Oh, I am an active learner. I am being an active learner. We want you to be able to know and be able to communicate what you're doing. All right? So part of being successful in life and successful in your future career is being an active learner. Now what does that mean? That means, being flexible. Being flexible. Sometimes activities and directions are going to change. How do you react to that? Sometimes your job will change. Or something in life will change. How are you going to react to that? When you're learning, how are you adapting? How are you reacting when you don't know what to do? That is being an active learner. What do you do when you don't know what to do? All right, and there's 2 main headings I just want to review for being an active learner. One is just how flexible are you? All right, how can you roll with it? And then the second one is adapting when things change. Okay, and some more examples?
Yeah, and if we were looking at your motivator with being an active learner so far this week, most of you have done a really good job with that. we didn't have a lot of kids freaking out when all of a sudden we started messing with your schedule, when we told you your schedule would be different every single day, when we asked you to come to the big room, when we asked you to break out into small groups. You guys have been very successful with that. Today, we're really specifically going to look at this when we put you into groups where you are truly going to be interdependent to produce something. So what we're going to need to see is your adaptability for working with people that you might not know or might not be friends with. Say, what is it? Ready?
I direct my own learning.
That's fantastic to hear. You already do that. That's great. All right? You set goals and you work toward those goals. Right? You continue to work and direct your own learning. You try to become an expert on whatever topic, whatever content, whatever skill you're looking at. You direct your own learning. You are working independently. Okay? Without a lot of guidance. Now, your teachers are here. We're here to guide you. We are here to help you along the way. We're certainly going to be answering a heck of a lot of questions. But are you working and directing your own learning and asking the right questions to get to where you need to go? And the goal being, in this one, learning. What does that look like?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you right now, this is really difficult for kids. This concept of being responsible for your own learning, directing your own learning. In the past, being compliant, in other words, doing what you're told, has gotten you good grades. But now, not only do you have to do what you're told to do, but you need to figure out what needs to get done on your own and also execute it. Okay? So again, when you're engaged with your own learning, when you're directing your own learning, you're sitting there, you're listening, you're thinking about everything that's being told to you, and you're starting to figure out what comes next. What don't I know? What do I need to know more about? You're not just simply sitting there drinking it all in. Like we're going to give you the information and then you just spit it back out at us. What level do you take it to? Somebody who truly directs their own learning takes themselves to the next level. And this year you're going to have many opportunities to move well beyond what most 8th graders do in their academic careers.
I am responsible.
I love to hear that. That's fantastic. Why don't you be able to say that over and over again? Because that's what people expect of you in life. That's what your community expects of you in life, and also in your career and in your job as we grow older. Right? Being responsible is being able to act appropriately. Hey, whatever the situation brings. Acting appropriately depends on the situation. Right? So can you recognize where you are? You recognize people around you and act appropriately. The second part of being responsible is understanding that we are all different. And that's what makes us fantastic. That we all have specific differences. Are you being responsible and respecting those differences? Because think about how many different, we have 95, 105 people in this room right now. We are all different. Now, outside this room, think about how many different people there are. All right, when you go to your job and when you go to your career, when you start your career, think about all the different people that are there. How are you going to be responsible to interact with all of them? Accept their differences.
Yeah. Some of you right now, I'll be very honest, I'm not trying to be negative, but when I look out into this sea of kids right here, I see a whole bunch of good kids kind of sitting and listening. Well, when I look more closely, it's obvious to me who's being responsible and who's not taking full responsibility for their own actions. Okay? When I look out, I see kids who might be looking at their shoes, or fidgeting with their socks, or trying to lean into somebody else. Those are nonverbal cues that we see that show that you're still here when it comes to responsibility. All right, responsibility for your actions and things like that. So very often that will show up as a negative consequence or a negative mark on the clipboard, especially early on. Just more from a nuts and bolts standpoint also. This includes things like bringing your materials to class, being on time for class and things like that. We haven't had a chance to look at many materials yet, simply because people are still bringing stuff from home and things like that. But the on-time thing, most of you are doing really well with. Well, we're giving you a little flexibility on time. You're taking a responsibility to get where you need to be, which is wonderful. But again, Full responsibility means responsibility with body language, without distracting other people, and things like that. So please keep that in mind as we go to market.
Loud. Okay, so are you prepared? Have you taken care of what you need to take care of before you come into class? Can you manage your assignments? Can you manage your products, your projects? Are you prepared to do that? Okay, that is something that you'll be assessed on. How prepared are you to produce results? And the second part is not just getting it done, but producing results that are high quality. Producing the results that the person next to you, that you'd be proud to show the person next to you. That produce something that would be useful for the person next to you, useful for yourself. That's all about being prepared to produce results. I have a hard time saying this one. The alliteration of prepared to produce always gets me a little bit.
Yeah, this is going to drive a few of you nuts in here this year, especially in a couple months. As you start working on some of the projects that we're going to be doing in science, technology, and engineering, you're going to be tasked out into teams, and then you're going to have to integrate some of those things back together. For example, when you're building your remote control rover that you're going to be building as a team, there are a whole bunch of people tasked on one rover, because that rover has to do many things, right? It needs to have a guidance system, it needs to be able to take temperature, it needs to be able to take pH, it needs to be able to see, you need to be able to turn it, you have to be able to orient it north. If your team of 2 people, or maybe you, are tasked with making sure that the thing can find north so that you can do some of the other tasks, if you come unprepared with that task, you're looking at 16 or possibly 17 other people then staring at you and saying, now what I built doesn't work because you couldn't get the whole thing to turn itself north. So that interdependence really comes down, or really can show itself with producing results. So again, you need to produce your part so that other students can produce theirs and we can produce ours.
All right, last time, real. Get set. Fantastic. Okay? Fantastic. Be a positive influence. I'll take that as an example, right? We are a large group, and we are focused on a goal, and that is to have every one of us learn. Anything else that detracts from that is a negative influence. So you kind of going off and being a distraction would be, the opposite of what we're trying to accomplish. Everything that we expect of you and that you should expect from each other is focused on bettering our community. And that's what we are. We're a team. We're a community here. Right? Anything that detracts from that gets us off track, and that's not being very positive, and we're not producing the right things that we're supposed to be producing. Okay? The second thing of being a positive influence, guide and lead others. Guide others by example. You be a positive influence yourself, and the person next to you will recognize that, and they'll start to realize that that's an appropriate way to act. And what happens when we all start to be positive influences, the negative influences become very, very obvious. And they start to get pushed aside a little bit. So be one of those people that are the leaders of our group. Be those people who are ready to guide us to our goals. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be really honest with you. We're simply, as your teachers, sitting around kind of waiting. We're waiting for this to happen. We have a system here that people recognize throughout the country. I know that sounds really strange, but it's true. In fact, there are teachers and principals and superintendents of school districts right now calling the school because they want to come here to watch what you do because of what we were able to accomplish last year. Sorry. We cannot move to that next level until we know that we have every single person on this team functioning in a positive way. What's awesome is we are starting at about 90%. Right now, 90% of you already get it. You're like, yep, I'm in. I'm going to be positive. When I raise my hand, I'm going to give an answer that's real. I'm going to give my best thoughts. I'm going to take risks and raise my hand and try to give answers that are good in morning meeting. I'm going to produce my best work and all of those things. What detracts from this is when you get 1 or 2 people that don't get that yet. They might say something that is a little bit off task to go for the cheap laugh. You know what? We've all seen that. It's called fourth grade, okay? We don't need that anymore. We're kind of done with it. We're past that. And you're starting to stick out as someone who's not making that jump, not making that transition to what you need to be on this team and what you need to be in high school, okay? So again, we're waiting, just poise, for every single person to get to the level you need to be at so we can be a positive group together so that we can move forward.
So we have these five expectations. Okay? We'll review them. These are your life and career skills.